Hi, I'm Debbie Raymond.
And I'm Bob McDermott. Welcome to Paranormal and Beyond. Got a great show tonight, Debbie. We're going to step out of the blocks a little bit tonight because we usually have ghost hunters on and Bigfoot. And we're very blessed to have an astrologer with us tonight, well known in New England, and she's going to share with us some of her thoughts on astrology and how to get involved in it and how it really affects our day-to-day life. So I want to welcome Susan Ackerman to the show. Welcome, Susan.
Welcome, Susan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very excited to have you.
We always start our shows off with the same question, I think, but it's always very pertinent because it's interesting how people got involved in their different crafts to start with. So tell us how you got involved in astrology.
Well, many years ago, in the early 80s, I went to an astrologer, and this astrologer knew I was coming.
Wow.
And I had the most incredible reading. I'd never had a reading before, and everything was helpful, accurate, brilliant.
Wow.
And so I decided I needed to learn astrology.
Wow.
And I was teaching French at the time, which I still do now. And I began to do these charts of all my students, and I had about 100 students. So I did
Wow.
every single one to see how they learned and how knowing the chart would help them learn. And it was fabulous.
Wow.
And so I decided to study with this woman, and I did for many years, and then I became an astrologer.
That's
Wow,
wonderful.
how cool is that?
It is.
It seems to me that we all get started for a reason somehow. I tell this story all the time, I had my first paranormal experience in Bermuda
Right.
on a cruise with my wife for our 25th wedding anniversary. And so it's interesting to see how people got involved in it. And to me, Deb, it's always interesting on how long people stay with this.
Right,
You know, we don't
years.
talk to too many people that got interested in something like this and then dropped it a year or 2 or 3 years later.
Yes.
I mean, paranormal investigators, UFO, Bigfoot investigators, they seem to be in it a very long time.
Right, right.
Tell us, Susan, how does astrology affect people's day-to-day lives? I mean, we've heard presidents have used this and first ladies have used this, so there's
King
a lot of
Henry VIII,
credibility to it,
yes.
there's no doubt. But how does it affect our personal lives every day?
As we wish it to. We have total choice. Most people don't know their signs. I mean, they might know their sun sign, but they don't know that you have actually all 12 signs in you. Every single person has all 12
Really?
signs. So how does it affect you? When you're unaware, you do what you do. And you make choices all the time, which people do, and until you learn a little bit more about who you are, then
Right.
you can make more informed choices.
Right.
And that's the key with astrology is it tells you why you are, how you are, and who you are. And then you can go, oh, that's why I do that. Oh, well, then maybe I will choose not to do that if that's not helping me.
So astrology acts like a roadmap.
It is
that a
amazing.
fair,
It is.
is that a fair assessment of?
Oh, in my chart, it shows I was meant to teach astrology.
Wow.
Well, in a few minutes,
That's wonderful.
we're going to go through my chart. So,
I am
Yeah.
so excited,
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm really
I really am.
and I'm
Wait
not
to
going
see
to be
what this
responsible
is.
for whatever comes out of that chart.
Oh, my gosh.
You got interested in astrology. You said back in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What actually led you to it to begin with?
Meeting this astrologer. Her name was Yvonne Yost.
So you
She
met
was-
with an astrologist
Oh,
and,
yes.
and found it
She
interesting.
was incredible, more than interesting. It was compelling, accurate, helpful. It was just, I knew I was supposed to do this.
Right. So it was a
So-
calling.
It is a calling.
Right.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna add that in there, that it is almost like a calling when you see it and it's kind of on the paper and you go, oh my gosh, how can that be? How can that be? So once you get that education on it, I mean, there's no way when you see it on paper and knowing yourself the way that you do, that to me, it's just, I think it's a gift. I really do. I think it's a gift because I've had my charts done in the past and I'm still dumbfounded every time I have my charts done, even being a medium.
And yet it's
So-
a teachable gift,
Yes, it is.
correct?
Oh, completely.
Yeah, it's a teachable gift,
Yeah.
which makes it even a better gift because there are things that just can't be taught,
Right.
unfortunately. But this is a gift that you can actually pass on to other people,
Yes.
correct?
And it
Yes.
has been passed on for thousands of years.
What is the history of astrology? Do you know how far
Yes,
back it goes?
well, actually, some books speak of 5,000 years ago.
Wow.
Some perhaps more than that. There was a man whose name was Hermes Trismegistus, which means Hermes the thrice great. And he actually channeled all of the information that we now know about astrology at that time.
Wow.
And of course, one cannot tack down exactly when, so some books will say 3,000 years, some say 5,000 years ago, some say 2,000 years ago, but he is the founder of astrology.
Wow.
Wow.
And so he received all the information about the 12 signs and the planets.
Wow.
Now imagine going through that many years ago, right? Because we didn't have the technology back then that we have now. So it had to be
When he
a
says
gift to him,
channeling,
correct? So I
correct.
Oh,
mean,
it was a
Yes.
gift,
Right.
absolutely.
somebody made a gift to
channel
him
things are
to
gifted.
get this started.
Yes, yeah. And it was interesting that you say that because I know a lot about the Tudors and King Henry, and he was a huge astrologer fan. You know, so it's so funny because he would make a lot of his political decisions and his children and he would get charts done for them. And unless you know about history, he was part of that, and he wasn't shy to say it, which was amazing. You know.
Well, if you go back exactly 2016 years ago-ish, the Magi were astrologers. The
Wow.
word Magi means astrologer priest,
Oh,
speaking
really?
of spirituality.
Wow.
They received the information that the child was to be born, where it was to be born, that was
Wow.
all in the information that they received from the planets and the stars. Even the star that is considered the bright star, we have found exactly what it was. It was several stars together in a certain spot in the sky that was the star that led them.
Wow.
So this has been
Wow.
known for over 2,000 years, even that alone.
Even then,
Yeah.
right.
So this may be a tough question to answer, and I apologize up front if it is. Why 2,000, 3,000 years ago did people turn to the stars? I mean, is there any evidence as to why all of a sudden, you know, that they look up to the stars and say, wow, there's something bigger than what we have here. There's something outside that.
You just answered it.
How do we go
Right.
plant that?
You just answered your own question. People said there must be something larger than just shepherding sheep every day. There must be
Yes.
something more to life than just what I'm seeing. What is it? Why is it? And thus begins the study.
Really?
It was to understand life.
Wow. I mean, to have that kind of a foundation is really, I mean, it's very close to spiritual.
It is. It is.
spiritual.
It is.
Yes.
Well, we're going
It's
to talk
close.
about, because Debbie and I
Yeah.
have been somewhat taken back by how much spirituality has creeped into a lot of the guests we've had on this show, because we
Yes,
just
it's
never saw
true.
the synergies there, right,
It's
Deb?
true, it's true.
But we're starting now to see it. So help us out a little bit. What is this spirituality of astrology? I
Well,
mean,
let's
how does
just-
it fit?
Let's ask first what is spirituality?
Right.
Spirituality is trying to understand life. Why are we here in this world? There is no more important question than that. And that is what astrology is about. It is a map of your life, why you are here.
While you're here.
This earth is a giant schoolroom, and we've all come with lessons. Astrology shows you what your lessons are.
I strongly feel the way that she had just explained it, because I said the more education you get on a certain subject, the more you understand.
Right.
And being spiritualist myself, I know that. So it is getting to know more things and taking it like a sponge and taking it all in. I just finished reading a book about metaphysics as well. So when you compile all that together, it makes sense. And that's what I'm so happy that we have her, because now she can kind of explain it a little bit more
Right.
in detail than what we can.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
so yeah.
So what's the mix between science and faith?
Science is what we can observe. Faith is what we learn to trust over time,
Wow.
over lifetimes.
Yeah. And
For
certainly
example-
astrology has to be
It's a mixture.
a mixture of that,
I teach
right?
it as a spiritual science.
Right.
Now, you had asked me earlier about what are some of the other branches of astrology.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, there's astrometeorology, and I brought a couple of things just
Oh.
to show you. So this is a tornado that happened on December 26th of last year.
Right.
And I drew in some of what's called the aspects to show what caused the tornado. So
Wow.
this
Wow.
is showing exactly what the different stars, what's happening in the planets, and what are the indications as to why the earthquake happened. Here's a recent, on April 14th of this year, the earthquake in Japan. And again, it's showing what happened. And here's another one.
Wow.
And there are certain things that when these things happen, the possibility of an earthquake or a tornado are there. Now, these aspects can happen every day, so one has to look and see, But is it
Wow.
exactly at this moment when the aspect becomes more intense and
Right.
stronger, and that's when these happen? So
Yes.
astrometeorology is one branch. There's medical astrology, which is
Yes.
fascinating. I chose not to go into medical astrology per se because I'm more into spirituality. So I still examine physical conditions, but I believe the soul causes them. And so, since every sign rules a part of the body, if something is hurting you, I will look at what is the sign and what are you doing incorrectly with that sign.
Wow.
Wow. So let me ask you, can this be used as a tool for predicting?
Okay, that's another, yes. In fact, of course, people love predictions.
Right.
I believe that, I know that we have choice. We were put on earth to learn and to choose. And so if someone says to you, next week such and such is going to happen, what happened to your choice? So I don't do that. However, there are. I had a guy come to me and he said, am I going to break my leg next week?
Oh, my goodness.
Am I going to win the lottery?
I
Yeah.
laughed and I said, if you want to, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. So that will be my answer to predictions, is that it's up to you, your choice.
Right.
Now, what a chart can show is what are the possibilities.
Right.
Let's say it might show, well, in my course, I actually show there is something in everybody's chart that shows when it's a good time to play the lottery. And I have had students who have won the lottery because I showed them where to look in the chart.
What was a good time to do
Yes,
it?
and so they played it, and
So let's go back to the tornado. That's interesting. Could this have been predicted with any degree of accuracy as to when it might hit? Wow.
oh, yes.
So why aren't we using this tool more in our everyday lives? I mean, I
I've
guess,
always asked that question.
I mean, is that a question that's out there in the
Okay,
universe?
I
to
will
keep-
make a prediction that
Yeah.
in the next 2,000 years we will be. This is the Aquarian age. It is an age of science and spirituality.
Right.
Therefore, astrology for a long time has been under a cloud because of many things. And so I think in this 2,000, the Aquarian age lasts 2,000 years. During this time, someday, over time, people will come to know how important it is, how accurate it is, and it will be used. So that people can be warned, get out of your homes, this is approaching this aspect, this is the time to evacuate such and such.
And of course, astrology's been under a cloud, as UFO investigations, as ghost hunting, as Bigfoot investigators, mediumships. I believe because technology hasn't given the general public an opportunity to hear the story. And that's really what this show is
And
about,
that's the wonderful work
is
you're
having
doing.
people come on and
Yes.
let's get the story out there. But I also contribute the internet to this a lot, because people didn't have an ability, I hate to say this, when I was a kid. I mean, that's how fast the internet has evolved.
Yes.
I remember no internet, not having it,
of
right?
course not.
Yeah, or cell phones for that matter, remember
That's
that? We're dating ourselves now. But now that the internet is there, and shows like this are airing, I mean, show like this back in 1955 wouldn't have been allowed.
That's right, right.
Right? I mean, nobody would have picked the show up and said, no, we're not
Right,
talking about
right.
astrology, we're not talking about
That was
witches,
during
you know.
Elvis Presley, and that was during, such a time where everything was really put in little boxes and generalized in society.
But all kidding
So-
aside, I don't think astrology or mediumship or anything like that is meant to predict you winning the lottery or
Right.
using it for that type of gain.
You're right.
You have to see this in a bigger picture, correct? I mean,
Well, there's no harm in playing it on a good day.
that's right, and have fun with
Yes,
it.
that's
I agree
right.
with that.
I think anybody who would like to make some money, why not? I didn't
Right.
say you'll
Yes.
make $1 million. My student won 100, but
Right,
Wow.
won something,
Sure.
that's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can take our viewers through a normal chart.
Yes, well,
Okay,
yes.
and you were very nice to do
But
mine.
before we do yours, I want to talk a little bit about the most important thing in a chart. Astrology is a very complex science. However, truth is simple and complex. But in order for people to understand things, we need the simple truth. And
Yes.
life is simple. You had said, why should we study it? To learn who we are and to love one another better. How often do we get angry at someone? But if you understand why they are how they are, how can you be angry? You can go, I understand. You have to do that. That's part of your lesson. So if we see what each other's lessons are, I can't be angry anymore because I go, of course Pisces arrives late. That's what they do.
Sure.
When I was teaching and I did the chart of my 100 students, the Pisces would come in and go, I'm so sorry, Miss Ackerman, could I have a late pass? I said, of course. Pisces, I already knew that before they asked me.
Right.
And at the end of the exam, they'd say, I only got to do the first 2 essays. Could I do the third one? Of course.
Sure.
Here's your late pass. But I knew those were the Pisces, and I began to understand and to expect that that's probably what's going to happen. Sometimes the Aries students would get really angry and go, this is going too slowly. Well, Aries is the fastest sign, so of course they're going to do that.
Exactly.
But now I can take the fast one and say, here, why don't you work with the slower one? And you might have to learn some patience while you work with them. So you can
So,
see
yeah.
how.
Individualize it, yes.
Yeah. Now, in order to look at a chart in a simple way, for every person, the first one we want to look at is, and this is fascinating. You see this?
South
Yes.
node. Yep.
South node. Now, notice what it looks like, and look at now the opposite. north node.
North node.
Okay? Every day, we have our sun going around the earth goes around the sun.
Right.
The moon goes around the earth. Twice a day, the moon will go to the southern part of what's called the ecliptic, this path
Right.
of the earth around the sun. When the moon goes to the southern spot, it is the south node. When it goes to the northern spot, it is the north node.
Oh.
That is what the north and south node are in the chart. Now,
Okay.
I've learned, do you know about the Akashic records?
No.
No.
No? Oh, okay. This is very important.
You know what? Let me interrupt you. I'm
Yes.
glad my co-host doesn't know it either.
Yes,
I would
that
have
I
thought
didn't
really,
know.
wow.
Very
I'm glad you said no. Thanks.
Okay. In the universe, there is, I'll use an earth term, a filing system of every person's life for all of their lives, not just this life. Okay.
I
So,
told you that.
You
on the
did tell me
past
that.
show.
right?
Yes.
So the Akashic Records is the files, the information for every human being on earth
Wow.
for all of their lives. Okay? When a person asks with humility to please learn the person's past life,
Wow.
then they will go to the library of the Akashic Records. And guess how the life is stored?
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the south and the north.
Wow.
Oh, how cool is
That's
that?
interesting.
So that's why this is the most important thing. When I meet someone, the first thing I asked, as I asked you
Right,
today,
she
is,
did.
when's your birthday? And as soon as I saw the birthday, I looked up the nodes. That's all. If I just start
She
there.
did. Yeah.
Right.
And so, what is the south node? The south node is where you came from. This is how you entered this life. These are the gifts that you have. These are also the gifts you've overdone. The way that I teach astrology is we all have 2 parts. A self, which is a divine self. It is a part of God. We also have an ego. For every person, the ego is the frightened part. The ego is always angry or sad. That's all. And so when anyone is angry or sad, that's their ego.
Well,
And when they are calm and joyful, it is their self. In our south node, we can find a lot of ego and some self. It has both.
that's cool.
So as we look at a chart, we want to see, where is our south node? What have we come in with as gifts, and where have we overdone? Because we want to reach for the north node. The north node is new. This is unknown territory. This is the lesson we came here to learn. This is our sacred purpose on this earth, is the north node.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
How cool is that?
Yes, it is very cool. I didn't know that the records were called what
The
you had
Akashic
said, the
Records.
Akashic Records. I mentioned that during a show. Spirit had told me that.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. You know, so that's why I'm like, I never heard of it that way.
Yes.
But when I was little, that they had already told me about it. So
Truth is
it's-
truth.
Isn't it amazing? Yes. I just never knew it was named that.
A few years ago, I went to an institute in Vermont to give a course to astrologers on the nodes.
Wow.
So I called my course Nodal Astrology. And they sat there and they said, well, we all knew about the nodes, but we had no idea how powerful they were and how important
Oh,
they were.
wow.
And by the end of that course, it was like the world had opened up in a whole nother dimension, another layer of understanding.
Oh.
So can we have more than one north node?
No.
Oh, so there's just one
Everybody
of
has
each
now we
per
look at-
chart?
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody has a north node. However, very interesting question that you asked. Okay, here are Bob's. You can
Oh,
see his
yes.
south node and his north node. Now,
Right.
there is actually the possibility of what Debbie just said, because all the signs go from 0 degrees to 30. However, 0 and 30 are the same. It's a big circle.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So if a person had a north node that was at 0 degrees, it is actually 2 signs. So it's still the same node, but
Yeah.
because 0 is also 30 of the one before, they will have the 2
Right.
signs.
That makes
So
sense.
if a person had a 0, which is therefore a 30, they will share 2. And I
Oh, okay.
have had many, many people that have had
Oh.
that.
Now,
Wow.
this all starts with your birth.
Yes,
This
this
is
is the moment that you, okay, also, I want to share that when you're asking me about getting into astrology, in 1979, I died, and I left this earth. And I was given a wonderful chance to come back, and I found what I had to do here. And during that time, I came to understand that every person, before they come to earth, living in this wonderful, peaceful kingdom that we all came from, we have a chance, we all, and it's not just a chance, before we come, we sit with many, many guides, many masters, God, and we talk about, okay, well now here were your lives that you've done. You're about to come back to earth again. What would you like to study? What would you like to learn? What are the lessons you want to work on? Some people choose an easy life and say, I want to relax and I want to just have an easy life. So that's what I would like. Other people say, you know what? I'm ready. I know what I did wrong. I want to do it better. I'm going to really take a chunk this time. And so based on what we decide that we want, we choose our names. We choose our birth date.
Wow.
We choose exactly where we will come in, and we choose the exact moment that we will come in,
Well, that is.
Yep.
Does this tie into reincarnation?
of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah.
is,
The chart shows
Yep.
this is what we're
the
talking about.
past, the present, and the
reincarnation.
future.
Certainly
Yeah.
reincarnation has gained a lot of respect over the last 10 years or so as to its validity,
Yep.
where I think, again, 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't even talked about. It was
Right.
looked upon it differently.
Well,
but
the
today
East
it's-
has, the West hasn't. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's tied into, reincarnation is actually tied into astrology.
It's lives.
It's
Yes.
life.
Lives and lives and
Yeah,
lives.
it's life. Wow,
So
that's
by
pretty cool.
choosing so it's interesting, mothers think they name their children,
I know.
but the child names itself through one of the parents or someone, and then the parents say, oh, I think I would like to have Robert as the name. And so Robert has sent to them, call
Well.
me Robert, that's what I want to be. And,
Well,
and
we're
I
going
will-
through that right now. I'm fortunate enough to have my second grandchild on the way, and names are a big issue right now.
Oh.
The child will show it to you.
Yeah, of course, they're going around Robin.
Interesting.
They don't know whether it's boy or girl yet, so
Yes,
they're
yes.
picking 2 names as they go. But anyways,
Wow.
it's really interesting to see how that ties in.
Well, as a parent, you become much more humble. Like, you thought you chose their name,
Right.
but they chose it.
Exactly.
And that's wonderful.
Right.
Because this is who you wanted to be. And by choosing this date and this exact spot, that's what created this chart.
Wow, that is amazing. So,
It is.
so okay, we ready now? You're going to do mine? Okay.
Oh, boy. I'm putting
Here
my
we go.
glasses on for this one.
Yeah, this will
Okay,
go
so-
down in the annals of history.
Now, notice there are 12 houses.
Okay.
Okay.
Do the 12 houses represent the 12 months?
Yes and no.
Okay, yes. and okay. But it's on a direct correlation.
It's
to the-
connected, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is exactly when spring begins. This is exactly when fall begins. This is when winter begins. This is when summer begins.
There it
Okay.
is.
So there you have this is the equinox and the
Right.
solstice.
Wow.
Now, each house on the chart represents an area of your life. For example, the first house is how you show yourselves to others, your body. I can often tell what a person's rising sign or ascendant is by their physical body. So this is how you are showing yourself physically to the world and how you know yourself. The second house, and everybody loves this house, it's how you make money.
I like this house.
I know.
That's the house I want to
funny.
move into right there.
Oh, my gosh.
It's also our values and the search for those values. The third house is the house of communication. This is how we speak, what we receive. This is the house of teaching and learning.
Okay.
Every house is wonderful. Every sign is wonderful. And every sign actually owns or rules a house. So that, for example, Aries owns this house. Taurus rules the house of making money because Taurus is about making money. Gemini is the ruler of the house of communication. But what's fascinating is, because you came in at 4:24 p.m., you have put something else in that house. So, for example, here we have the house of making money. You like that house?
Right.
And you have the planet Pluto.
Yep.
But you did not put it in Taurus, even though it's in Taurus house, because you came in at 4:24.
Wow.
So now we have, it's like clay.
Yes.
So we have this clay. The clay says this is Aries house, this is Taurus house, this is Gemini house. But then you said, well, I don't want to come in at 6 a.m. when everything might have been in that order. I want to come in when I want to come in. And so now I am adding to this clay and saying, okay, I'm going to put some Leo in the Taurus house. And that will change how I value myself and how I make my money. I will put some Leo and some Virgo into the communication, and that will change how I express myself.
Wow.
The fourth house is the house of home, the inner home, the outer home, and our deepest, deepest roots. It's the house of Cancer. Then we have the fifth house, the Leo house. And you have there your south node, along with one of the asteroids they've recently discovered called Chiron. And your south node is in Scorpio. So now here's what's happened. You've put this south node in the Leo house, but it's in the sign of Scorpio.
Huh.
And guess what Scorpio's job is? Paranormal investigation. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, that's
That is really
interesting.
wild, huh?
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, so
Yeah.
you came in, you've already been searching for this for a long time.
Yes.
Far more than
That's
this
really
life.
cool.
Mhm. However, because your Taurus house is very strong, and because we're going to look at the next house, you have a component in you that is very doubting. It's like, well,
Yes.
I don't know.
Well,
Okay?
that's,
It's
I
true.
can't tell you how
That's
accurate
accurate,
that is.
yes.
Yeah.
Astrology
Yeah.
is
The
accurate.
communication parts of it, I just
I
have to
know.
go back to it,
Yes,
because look what
please
you
do.
did for your career. Did you tell her what you did for your career?
Well, it was a training.
He was, yeah, so he
Director of
basically
training.
worked with a lot of communications and
Oh, yeah.
with
Look at your house
people.
of, yeah,
Right.
there it is. This is your radio, your communication.
See?
You have put
Wow.
so much there.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because when I do presentations outside, I always get the question, do you believe in ghosts? And I think I sometimes shock people because I
Right.
say, you know what, that's an interesting question because I'm not sure what I believe in.
Right.
Yes, that's
True.
why.
And-
Okay,
and
now
that-
we'll see why.
yeah, I
All right,
mean-
True.
take a look at the sixth house. This is the house of being not sure.
Oh,
Look what you put in there, your sun sign. There's your Capricorn.
that's
That is
Okay,
awesome.
you
unbelievable.
not only put your sun, which is who you know yourself to be, but you put your mental energies there. So yourself and your mind are going, I'm not sure. You
Wow.
also put your planet of great happiness because you want to keep on searching more and more
That's true.
and more.
He's retired like 6 times from the business. So that is so true.
Keep coming
And
back.
he keeps coming back. Yes.
I know this wonderful man who I went to a presentation. He's an astronomer. Now, up until about 200 years ago, astronomy and astrology were studied together. They went their separate ways. Some people say it was the 1600s. But so astronomy went on to the scientific part of let's examine physically what is the planet, what is it doing, what is the size, etc. Very important. This is now the other side of that, and that is what does it mean for us?
Right.
How does it affect our lives? What choices have we made to bring that here? I think they belong together, and I think someday
Wow.
they will go back together as they once were.
So help me out here. Let's assume that there was something in here that was negative. Can it be changed?
Ego. Everybody has negative.
Right.
We
But you
all
can
have-
change it.
Of course, you choose.
You have that
Yes.
ability
Yes.
to change it.
Have you ever gotten angry at someone and then gone, I don't want to be angry.
Yes.
I want to love them. You just changed.
Yeah, I did that with my children for 30-something years.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I was telling you about this very interesting man. So he's a Virgo. Strong sixth house there. I mean, he may not have put a Virgo in the sixth house, but he is a Virgo. So his job in this world is to doubt and to investigate and keep checking. So he came and did a presentation on astronomy. And I went afterwards and I said, I loved your presentation. And I said, I'm an astrologer. And he said, well, I don't believe in astrology. And I said, you don't have to. Everything he said in his
Right.
presentation was his chart. And I was just watching going, he's
Wow.
doubting.
Yeah, yeah.
But also he had wonderful Sagittarius, and he was magical.
Yeah.
Everybody in the room was captivated by him.
Wow.
Because he had a south node in Sagittarius, which is to look at the wonder of life. And that's what that's who
Wow.
he is. He is a
Exactly. Well,
wonderful human being.
Right on target.
But because he was a Virgo, he did a wonderful thing. He said, well, I'd be interested in having a discussion with you sometime. I might not believe anything you say, but I'd like to have a discussion. And there was his Virgo.
There was it. Yeah.
But he came to
Wow.
Earth to doubt and to investigate.
Wow,
And that's just
Wow.
that is unbelievable.
That is you. Mm-hmm. It is.
So take us to the next house.
Okay. Well, let me go a little bit more on your
Okay.
south node for a moment, since this is so important.
Yes.
So, Scorpio. Scorpio's job, and that's why I said paranormal, Scorpio's job is to understand that life is not just what we see. There are hidden things that exist, like ghosts, like people on the other side of the veil who are quite alive and are communicating with us, sometimes through hawks and through other. There are messages that they are sending us. So Scorpio says, I think there's more than meets the eye here. Also, Scorpio has a great detector on lying. Many people
Wow.
lie. But the Scorpio goes, I don't think you meant that. Okay,
Right.
it has X-ray vision into the soul of the person.
Wow.
Okay, so you have had this. However, because of this strong Taurus house and the sixth house, you've doubted that. Now, the Scorpio also understands, and this is a hard one, Scorpio rules 3 large areas. The largest 3 there are: birth, death, rebirth, transformation.
Wow.
What is that? It's change. Life is change.
Change, right.
Okay, so when a person has a strong Scorpio, as you do, you have had to deal with change. It's also
He
loss.
has.
I know. He had to. Anybody.
Yes.
Now, a person with strong Scorpio can lose loved ones. They may lose friends. It's part of the Scorpio story.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
we must understand that life is change. And something good will come from it. But first we have to accept it.
Accept it.
Scorpio also has the job of having more faith, to know that everything is going to happen for a good reason, and that all change will bring us to a higher knowledge if we want to learn.
Yeah, see, and I buy into that 100%.
Oh, yes.
You have done your homework.
Yeah.
Now, your north node, the opposite of it, is Taurus, and it's in the 11th house. The 11th house is groups,
Yes.
it's friends.
Oh,
What are you doing but groups? And
Yeah.
it's to bring concrete knowledge and what we would call hidden knowledge, the truth of that which is not seen with the eyes, to understand that we are one with our loved ones.
right.
We are not just, there isn't just one life. I died in 1979, and I was alive. I remember going, there's this body on the bed, and
Yes.
it's my body, but I'm not in it anymore, but I'm quite alive. And I met this wonderful man. He was the most accepting, loving person I had ever seen. And he said to me, are you sure this is your time? I didn't have to do anything except in asking the question, I knew the answer. And I
Yeah.
said, no, I need to go back and tell my mother I love her. The moment I said that, I plopped back into that body, just like when a plane is landing in an
Yes.
airport. That's what it felt like. And suddenly I was back in that body, but everything had gone to sleep because I had left it.
Wow.
And I came to know, and this was my Scorpio lesson, there was no death. I mean, the great masters of all time have come and said, there is no death, but we are still learning it.
Yes.
This is a Scorpio lesson for people. There is only life.
That's fascinating.
It is.
It is
And
fascinating.
this
It
is
is.
part of the truth that you are, and Debbie, are helping to teach people, because it's time for us to learn this.
You know, not to get off of this, but it is time for us to learn.
Yes.
And when we see what's happening to this world, it is amazing to me how countries are annihilating each other.
I know.
To what end? To what end is all this for? I mean, because as you point out, it's life. And it's so special and precious. Why are we just doing away with it at random?
And this is part of your life direction.
Exactly.
You are to show people with the North Node in Taurus that life is precious. Yes, there is only life here and on the other side, but wherever it is precious, and we must honor and respect that.
Right.
And you will do it through groups, through friends, through wherever you believe, and you will combine the fact that one of the great truths that Hermes Trismegistus taught us was, as above, so below.
Oh, yes.
As below, so above.
Above.
He is the one who channeled that sentence. Okay, so you are looking at a plant growing. It has roots. It is not just what we're seeing on top of the ground. A person has a deeper soul. We are not just what we are seeing, but who we are reflects who we are inside and underneath. This is the truth of life and life and life. And if we really love and respect life, we will never want to harm one another.
Right.
This is, I will go to your 12th house. I'll jump around a little bit. Your 3rd house won't mind that.
Right.
The 12th house is to understand that we are all one. Every one of us. If we harm another person, we are harming ourselves. This is the house of the universal. We are the same. We are all one. We have differences, but we are one huge soul. And then we split into many parts, so all the parts could learn why they're here.
Yes.
The first house that begins the chart is the opposite. This is the house to say, how am I different? How are you different? What is your special gift that makes you different, even though we are also the same? This is called the individual self and the universal self. Notice that you have a very important and active 12th house in which you are to share and to teach,
Wow.
to respect
Yeah.
life. So going back to your chart here, this is we have the rising sign. This sets the theme for your entire life.
Oh.
And it's fascinating, just what you needed. Your rising sign is the opposite sign of your sun sign. This is the moment when the sun was rising,
Right.
on the moment that you were born. Your theme for your life
Wow.
is to nurture other people.
Wow.
It is the sign of Cancer. Now, it's fascinating because you're a male. Capricorn is a male sign. Cancer is a female sign symbolically, because we're all male and female. So you are to, being a male, nurture others with the care of a mother, with the understanding and objectivity of a father.
Wow.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a nurturer, you think?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think I am, too.
Absolutely.
That's what you do
Yes.
Yeah, I think I am.
Of
Yes.
course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know, it's just fascinating to me because as you were going through this, I can't help thinking about one of the things you talked about, respect. And I think that Debbie and I have been in the world of paranormal together for so long because we really do respect whatever is on the other side,
Highly.
And what's on this side?
or whoever that is.
Oh, yes.
Because I maintain that it is reincarnation. And I think we're put back into this earth to do better than we did the last time we were here.
You just
That-
described your 6th house.
That's truly my belief.
Yay.
That's
Yes.
the 6th house.
It really
That's
is.
why you came, to do better.
My whole conception is that why we don't work harder at that as people, as individuals. I mean, we see crime, we see drugs, we see
Yes.
terrible things done to terrible people, for terrible
It's-
reasons. And I say to myself, why? Why does this happen? This has to be changed. I mean, what we just had here in New Hampshire a day or so ago, a gentleman who stabbed a bunch of people in a mall.
Yes.
I mean, and I wonder where in the universe, in the cosmic universe, does it call for this? That these people are shopping in a mall,
It's a choice.
and this
Yeah.
this individual decides,
Yes.
I'm going to go out today and end 3 lives. Yeah, and I know it gets into the religious
Yes.
aspect and everything else, but it's just I
It's
sit
a
and say,
choice.
wow,
Why
how
would
does the
anyone
cosmic
harm?
world,
Why would anyone harm anything?
anything in this
Right.
Because they don't love themselves.
Right.
That's why.
No,
Because
that's-
if we are all brothers and sisters, how could I harm you?
Right.
That's harming me. But if I don't know that, then I can
Right.
squish out another life or a plant or anything because I don't yet understand that.
Don't understand that?
They're learning. We're all learning. We're on different levels of evolution. The higher evolved person would never harm anything. The baby, so to speak, and I don't mean actual
Right,
baby,
I
but
know.
the baby in evolution doesn't know.
Yeah.
Now, not all souls come in wanting to harm anything because souls can be far more evolved. But the ones that are harming don't understand they're harming themselves. And it will take them several lifetimes, who knows how many, to learn
to
that.
figure that
And
out.
they're
Yes,
also harming
yes.
their loved ones and their
Right.
children and
Of
their
course.
parents. in some
Domino
ca-
effect.
You know, a
Yes.
couple of weeks ago on the internet, there was a picture that, and I really don't know why it affected me so bad, you know, because I've seen a lot. But it was a woman who had, in Africa, who had killed a giraffe.
I saw
Did you
it,
see this?
yes.
And she took a picture
Horrible.
posing with this poor dead animal.
out of, like,
And
she
and
was
I thought
half
to
proud.
myself, I was really emotionally moved by that picture, and I thought, how do you do that? How do you kill this animal? I mean,
Right.
I don't get it. I don't get the pleasure of it. I don't get the experience of it. I don't
Yes.
get, why would you, what did you gain from taking this beautiful creature
And the picture.
that isn't a predator in
Yeah,
any
that was
fashion? It's
ego.
not like a
was
mountain lion
ego.
or something.
Yes,
And just shoot it, and then want to take a picture with it like a trophy.
right. It's all her ego. That's what it
It's
was.
ego.
Yes.
That's
It's
all
ego.
it
And it
is.
wasn't her first one.
No.
So I know you're talking about, she actually did this to a lot of beautiful animals, so.
But I mean, when you look at the ego part
Horrible.
of it, what in her says, I'm proud of this? Because that's what ego is, right? It's
Right.
I'm proud of it.
The
or I'm-
ego is frightened.
Yeah.
And in its fear, it's either angry or sad.
Or sad. That's a
Yeah.
great way that she explained it,
Wow.
yes.
And you know what? I think this woman's sad. I do. I don't think she's angry. I think she's sad. She
and
looks
if
sad.
she's sad by killing something, she can continue to be sad because she just killed something.
Yes,
She took something away from this world.
right.
So she has fed her ego
That's
by
correct.
harming another being.
Mm-hmm.
That is just,
So when you say, well, why should we study astrology? So we can understand that.
yeah,
Exactly.
And then we can feel sorry for her instead of being angry at her.
right. Well, we can't change until we understand.
And we can't change
Where we came
another.
from,
Now,
right.
that's another big thing.
Yes,
Scorpio often thinks, because it understands a lot, that it can change another person. We cannot change anyone. The only person we can change is ourselves.
Ourselves.
That's it. But if we change ourselves, then we become a shining example for others. And when they're ready, they will change in their time.
And then through something like this, you can teach other people how to change. You can't change them,
You
but you
show
can
the way.
educate
You
them
can
to
teach
the
them.
fact
Show the way.
of
Yes.
taking a hard look in a mirror. That's what that is a mirror to your soul.
yeah.
When they're
Right?
ready.
It's
When
a
they're
mirror
ready,
of your
that's
life.
important, when they're ready.
Yeah.
Right.
Because not everyone is ready to.
Not everyone is
to-
ready.
Exactly. I mean,
to
I've
see
been doing readings for 35 years. When someone says, I want so-and-so to have a reading, I said, well, do they want a reading? And if they don't, in fact, recently someone said, my so-and-so would really, I want to give her a reading. I said, does she want a reading? And she said, oh, I don't know. And I said, well, then she cannot have one unless she wants it.
Yes.
Because if you're not ready, it's not going to do you any good.
Right.
A
Do you
person
see
has
that
to be
in
ready.
mediumship, Deb?
Yeah,
The
of
same thing?
course, yes.
Truth is truth.
I always, energy is a fickle character. So when someone comes in, if I notice that they're a little bit uneasy or anxious, I always tell them, would you like to use the restroom first? There's a bottle of water there. Take a deep breath, relax, everything's gonna be okay. So then you feel it kind of just go down a little bit. Then it just goes a little bit smoother. But if they come in with the ego or expectations or anything, it makes my job a little bit harder
Right.
for me to do it. So a lot of times I just tell them, you just need to relax, it's okay. And I find if I divide myself for 2 or 3 minutes, with either a restroom break or walk away, they tend to just calm, and then when I get back in the room, they're okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I pick up on it, yeah, for sure.
But if a person comes to you, they have to want to
They
come
have to
you.
want to,
If they don't
absolutely.
want to, they're not going to hear anything
That's
anyway.
right, that's right, yes.
So give us your website, because people can go to the website. There's a lot of information on the website, correct? And a lot of direction for people on the website. So we want to make sure that we get this out 2 or 3 times. Because again, this show is about educating you as our viewers. It's about educating you and giving you tools and resources
Yes.
to research this from, we hope, the comfort of your living room. So
Yes.
give us your website.
Lifeinsightastrology.com.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we'll do this again before we end the
you.
show here. Susan, why do you think more political figures who control a lot of what happens in the world, President Obama and other presidents, Putin and so forth, why don't they use this tool more? I mean, these are well-educated people. Are they afraid of the backlash?
How do we know they don't use it?
Right, right.
Ah, okay,
Not
good.
everyone is upfront about what they're using.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
I have an ongoing class, so first we studied the signs, then we studied the planets, and then I decided to do a course on studying some people. So we studied Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton,
Ooh.
which helped us understand why are they doing what they're doing?
Right.
Who are they? What did they come here to do?
Political views aside.
Nothing to do with politics.
Right.
Human understanding.
Yes.
And now, I mean, because I know their charts, everything they are doing
Makes sense.
Yes.
Totally makes sense.
Right,
There
right.
is no judgment.
Wow.
It is merely understanding. And then we did the next course, and I create these courses all the time. So the
This
next
is
course I
great.
did was called, this is the first time I ever
The
did this
Circle
one
of
this
Life?
year, The Circle of Life. And so what we did is I asked every person in the class to pick one person that they've loved, that has passed on. And we studied that person's life. But we studied two charts. We studied the birth chart and the death chart.
Oh.
And then we looked at what did they come here to do, and how in their choice, and I will say choice, of the day that they left this world, what does that say about what they learned while they were here? And it was the most incredibly moving course.
Wow.
Really, really beautiful.
Wow.
So those are some of the kinds of things that we do with astrology. We also do, and I want to show you some fascinating things about you.
Okay.
Is there past life things in there? for
Yes,
Bob?
oh, well, the South Node is the past
There's a
life.
pa-
The
oh.
moon is the past life, and so there are many, many parts. But also, we want to look at right now.
Yeah.
This is called a solar arc. Every day of your life, okay, you started out with a chart. For example, you came in as 8 degrees Capricorn.
Okay.
Okay. But for every year of your life, in addition to, you'll always be that, a degree gets added on. And so now, when you are about to be 70, 70 degrees have been added on to 8 degrees Capricorn.
Wow.
You are not just a Capricorn anymore. Look at your new sun sign. You're a Pisces.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So let me let me ask a question.
That's really
Back in the
interesting.
'60s, right,
Yes.
when we were dating and so forth, it was "What's your sign?" Remember
Of
that?
course.
You're
Yes.
too young to remember
Yes,
that.
yes, but I do.
We remember that. you
I'm
know.
72, yes.
They'd always say, "What's your sign?"
course.
And that,
I still
that was
ask it.
supposed- Do we not
Oh,
really
my
have
gosh.
a sign, but we have multiple signs?
You are all 12.
All
However,
12
your
signs.
sun sign is the Capricorn. But look at, you've got all 12 signs in there. And then because as you are growing, what happens is life gives us a chance to examine what does it feel like to be another sign. And so right now, you
Wow.
are up to 17 degrees of Pisces.
Wow.
And you have another 12 more years to learn what it's like to be a Pisces before you move into another sign. You'll always be a Capricorn. But now, you have a chance to
But
be
you
one.
graduate through,
Yes.
to all of the signs
Yeah, and,
eventually.
well, we can't live for 360 years, but certainly as many years
As
as we're
many
here on
as we
Earth.
can.
Right.
Every 30 years, you're going to change to another sign.
Wow.
Or let's say,
That's really
depending on
neat.
what number you started
Right.
with. And it's fascinating because then, I mean, I know that right now, I too am a Pisces. I'm wearing Pisces colors here.
Really?
Yes.
And boy, a Capricorn is very, is into control.
Yeah.
You make sure, you plan your day, you plan everything, you work, 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 work. You're here to work. Pisces is go with the flow.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you have an appointment at 4 o'clock, Capricorn's at 4 o'clock, we do it at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
But if it's 4:30, Pisces says, well, that's okay. 4:30 is probably nice too. Let's do it at 4:30.
Yes.
You know,
It's true.
that is amazing because I have changed.
I know.
And yeah, I know you know. I have changed in the last 6 months, and my wife has said this that I was a planner because that was my background
It's Capricorn.
Right.
in work.
Now you can just say it's because I was a Capricorn,
Yeah, I
and
mean-
I am a Capricorn.
And I used to drive the kids crazy because
Yeah.
if we were going somewhere, it had to be all plotted
Of
out,
course.
planned out, and the times and everything else. But I have found myself in the last 6 months, believe it or not, just kind of saying, we'll get there. That's not a big
Exactly.
deal."
You are living now
That's
in
funny.
addition.
Yeah, my wife has commented on that to say,
Yeah.
well, you know what, you're not half as tense as you used to be.
That's
And yet
true.
nothing major, thank God, in my life has really happened to change
Yes,
that. You know, it
yes.
hasn't been a forced change, but it's a change I even see in myself.
Wow.
So you just answered a question you asked in the beginning of the interview. How does astrology affect our lives? Now, even if you had never met me,
It's still
and you
like
didn't
that.
know that, you've already done it. What I have done is make you aware of,
Yes.
Right.
that's why it's happening. And this is what I find, that when a person studies their own chart, they go, that's why I do that. Oh, I understand now.
Right.
And it's a good thing.
Yeah, right. It is a good thing. And like you keep saying, and it resonates with me, it's part of life. It's what life is changes.
Yes.
And we all go through those. We go through good ones and bad ones and,
Yes.
happy ones and sad
Yes.
ones.
And here is your north node, your life direction is to understand that stability is change. Because Taurus
Wow.
is into stability. And your lesson is change is stability.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
That
awesome.
is, that
It
is
is.
really unbelievable.
It really is
I,
cool.
I think this is a great vehicle for me, a great tool to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had it done before. Although I will say astrology has always interested me. I love the planets. I have always believed the Egyptians were the first astrologists, that's what I believed at least, that they really were the ones that looked to the heavens and said, wow, there's more out there than there is here, and we need to understand it. And I think when you go back that far, to think what they didn't have for
Right.
resources, but to understand in their own minds, this needs to be done, this needs to be plotted, it probably, to me, is the oldest religion, can I call it that?
The oldest spiritual examination of life. Perhaps we can call it that. The way back, whenever people were trying to learn, we don't learn alone.
Right.
We
Right.
are surrounded by angels. We are surrounded by guides who are helping us every second
I
of our
agree
lives.
that.
Right.
I agree that.
Forever and ever, not just now, forever.
So
And so
how
when
does-
they were asking way back,
How does religion get into this? I mean, when I was researching for this show, I saw things about Buddhism, how it impacted astrology. How does religion overall, instead of getting into one or two religions, how does religion overall impact astrology?
well, all good things are the same. Religion's job is to help us be better people. A chart's job is to help us be better people. We are all a part of God. And astrology's job is to help us find and be our divine self, to let go of the ego and to keep on increasing the self. That's religion's job.
So religion, regardless whether it be Buddhism or Judaism or anything, it really doesn't have a different message when it comes to astrology.
It's
It's the
all
same
the same.
message. It may be approached differently.
Different, perhaps you could say those words, but it's all the same goal, to
Right.
make us better, to
Right.
make us more loving. Jesus came and said, love one another. God says, love one another. Astrology says, love one another, understand each other, and then you can only love them. And you can be more patient with your child when they're doing something that you go, how could you do that? It's their lesson. That's why.
And that's a testimonial to astrology going way back, because the message had stayed consistent for 2,000 or 3,000 years, maybe
Truth is
longer.
truth, yeah.
But it has stayed consistent in astrology.
Yes,
And I think
that's true.
that's really fascinating to me, because if you look at religions, they have changed over the years. You know,
Yes.
we see a pope today that's changing maybe the way Catholicism is looked
Yes.
at. But religions have changed and have gone in little different directions and split off and so forth. And yet the message here in astrology is the same throughout.
Well, I would say
Right.
for religions, the message, the basic message for them too is the same.
Right.
Love one another.
Yeah.
How we do it, the 12th house is the house of forgiveness.
Well,
I mean, every religion speaks of forgiveness. It's like
that's-
there is only one truth, and there are many paths to it. And there isn't any one path that's better than the others. It's whatever you would like to
Yes.
learn and study.
Yes, it's
So
true.
Deb, when it comes to mediumship, how do you see that synergy? How does this enter into astrology? Because there's got to be a lot of.
There is. Well, a lot of it I've known, like what you've already been saying, but that I don't even want to say it was self-taught. I think it was told to me from something higher than myself. So what I find fascinating as a medium is now we have computers and we have printers and everything that can actually print it out. What I question as a medium is going 2,000 years back, 3,000 years back. How did they record this? Like, and keep their, their record, like, how did they record this? Did it just get passed on by language, by word?
Disciples.
Disciples, so that as a medium, I'm fascinated by it to find out how that knowledge got to the next person
Right.
and to us. So that's what I'm thinking the whole time we're sitting here.
There's a wonderful book called The Kabbalion.
Oh.
Kybalion, and it has been hidden for thousands of years.
Oh.
And I recently was given a copy of it as a present. I found it on Amazon, actually. And it is the book written by Hermes Trismegistus.
Wow.
And
I
it
would
is
love
not
it.
about astrology. It is about the truth of life.
I would love that.
How did it get passed on? They said disciples of Hermes Trismegistus followed
Wow.
him, studied with him, wrote it down, passed it from generation
Yes,
to generation,
yes.
and now this is the age in which all hidden things are to be revealed. And so there is the Kybalion.
Wow.
And people
Wow.
can now begin to study some of the, they have 7 of the great truths, and one of them is as above, so below. Another one is we all have male and female. And it's on and on and on, and it's
Right.
it's just truth.
It
So
really is.
There is only truth. And the truth is we are here to learn, to love one another, and to be better.
Right.
One thing I
I
wanted to
think
comment.
that's a wonderful message.
It really is. And one thing I wanted to comment on earlier is when you said, why is it so hard for people? Why is it so hard for people sometime to make these better choices and to improve their lives and things? It's funny because I look at it as life is easy. I don't look at it as it should be difficult. I say it's easy to do. You make the decision. You make the choice. I don't know where the hard comes from.
The soul.
So I'm still trying to
The
figure
soul.
that out. You know, yes, yeah. So it's I figured it out, but I'm saying for other people, why haven't they figured it out? So as a medium, I know that I just have to let them walk their path.
Yes.
Walk your road. And as a mom of 2, I really let them do that. So I really pull back and when I know I need to, and then I actually go forward when I know I need to for them.
Right.
So that's one of the gifts of being a medium, but also understanding the astrology part of it as well.
Then, well, the more you
Yes.
understand them, the easier it is to let them go.
That's right. That's right.
And part of the lessons for Scorpio is to let them go.
Along with being an astrologist, you were an author.
Yes.
I can't wait to read
Well-documented
this.
author. And you've written a tremendous book. And I know that you wrote it from the heart. I think it's a wonderful book for people to understand what we talked about here today, and that's loving one another and understanding good things and bad things are going to happen and
Yes.
how to get through the good times and the bad times.
Yes.
So I encourage everyone to read that book. It's a great book.
I am Ella. Ella just means she, and that's why I picked the name.
Oh.
Yep.
And I wrote this book in 2009 to 2010. I lost my entire family. One person after
Wow.
another after another. And after my mom died, she was the last one to go. I had to start my life again. And I was walking in the morning and I received the thought, you need to write. And you need to illustrate every chapter with a photograph that you will take. And so that's when I wrote the first book. And I sold all of them, so I made it into a DVD
Oh,
now, and I
nice.
just narrated it.
That's it. That's
And
in the DVD.
there are no people in that book,
Right.
because I could not deal with people at that
Oh.
point, so it was just me. And I talked to the birds, I talked to the mountains, I talked to the lakes, and I said, how do you start again when you've lost everything?
Right.
And that was the first book. A year later, I was ready to write the story.
Wow.
And so this is the true story of everything that happened and how to start again.
It's a
And
great
that's-
read. Would you
Thank
give
you.
us your website again?
Yes,
Susan?
it's lifeinsightastrology.com.
Okay. And you have an email address?
It's on the website.
It's on the website?
Yes, and they can find it on, of course, we're gonna have it scripted
Right.
on the recording, and also we'll have some of these up there for the viewer audience to see
Right.
more closely, because it's
And
fascinating.
the other thing too is if the viewing audience wants to find out any information about today's show or any show we have on, you can email me at paranormalnh@yahoo.com. We'd be
Yeah.
happy to share information with our viewers. This has been a great show.
This is
I have to
awesome.
tell you, it's been very interesting, and I'm always amazed, especially with my co-host, how accurate she is in her readings, and now I'm amazed at how accurate you were, because you were right on target with everything. I will admit I wasn't prepared today to sit here and say, I don't buy that, I don't buy this. But you never gave me a chance, because everything that you said was absolutely accurate. And I think one of the big things was how I've changed into the mode of Pisces. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. Now
Because
you need to wear more blues and aquas.
He does, he actually wears some light
There you
blues
go.
sometime, yes.
Well, we've come to the close of another
Yes.
great show. We want to thank Susan Ackerman
Thank you
for
each.
being here as our guest. It was a
Yes,
great
thank
show. We're
you.
going to have you
Thank
back again, because I think this is a topic that deserves a lot more conversation. We had a chance to. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you
It was
very
our
much for
pleasure.
having me.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned for future programs, which will include Eric Knapp, Eric Perry from New England Haunted.
Yes.
Going to be on. That's going to be a good show. And we have the Witches coming on, which is going to be
Yes.
very interesting when we get to that show.
And
So
Lisa
stay
Olin.
tuned. Watch us on Comcast, channels 22
Yeah.
and 13.
Yes.
And if you're out of range, you can always send me an email. I'll be happy to send you the link. So thank you for being here, and good night.
Good night.